According to ESPN Analytics, the San Francisco 49ers have the best chances of any team in the NFC to make the playoffs. Let's talk about that path and Jauan Jennings beefing with everybody on today's Locked On 49ers.
You are Locked On 49ers, your daily San Francisco 49ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On 49ers. Brian Peacock and Eric Crocker at BD Peacock at Coach Crocky. Thanks everybody for making us your first listen on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making us the number one sports podcast network here at Locked On. And if you're new to the program, welcome. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube or anywhere you are listening to this podcast. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the FanDuel app. All right, Croc, let's talk playoff chances. And I was playing around with the Athletic playoff simulator over the course of the last couple of weeks, and it was a lot of fun. And I ventured over to ESPN. I looked at ESPN Analytics just to kind of compare and contrast. And at the Athletic, they gave the 49ers about a 91% chance to make the playoffs. It got over 90% there, beating the Browns and getting to 9 wins in Week 13. If you go to ESPN Analytics, though, Brock, the San Francisco 49ers have a 94% chance to make the playoffs, which is actually tops in the entire NFC, ahead of the Rams, ahead of the Eagles, ahead of the Packers and the Seahawks, and even the 1 seed currently, Chicago Bears, who, by the way, are on the schedule for the 49ers here in a few weeks. Week 17, second to last game is Niners-Bears, which is going to be possibly a very big game, deciding who's going to be in the playoffs and what those seeds might be if both Bears and 49ers make the playoffs. Are you shocked by that development, Croc? There's so many teams at the top right now in that 9-win territory that the seeding for this thing in the NFC has a lot left to be decided right now.
Definitely. And, when you look at the 49ers remaining schedule, I was like, oh, well, maybe the 49ers have an easier remaining schedule. You're like, they do have a couple of tough teams even remaining. You got the Seahawks. You have the Chicago Bears. Like, I can't even wrap – and the Colts. It's hard for me to wrap my head around the Bears being good. So I've said that about 4 or 5 times over the last 5 minutes when we talked about discussing this topic. And even then, it just slips my brain because it's like, well, how are the Bears good? Like, new head coach, a lot of people are like, oh, man, let's see how he works with Caleb Williams. And I don't think Caleb Williams is a finished product by any means, but they're doing something, getting just enough out of him, getting just enough out of defense. So that's kind of a scary team. But knowing who the 49ers play, the Bears, the Seahawks, the Colts, teams you may not have expected being top of their divisions at this point in the season, it's still a little surprising because the only game that's like, 49ers should really have this, right? Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, so the Niners have a bye coming up in Week 14. Then they have the Tennessee Titans, which is the easiest game you can have on your schedule this year. They just got blown out by the Jaguars. They're a 1-11 team. They're by far the worst team in the NFL. So the Tennessee Titans are next. And the Tennessee Titans, if you win that game, gets you to 10 wins if you're the 49ers, which is a really good spot for the 49ers to be in. It's kind of been the magic number we talked about. To be a playoff team, you win 10 games and you're usually pretty much in. It have to be a very rare occurrence to not. And on top of that, the 49ers, through that Week 15 game, will have had only 2 losses in the NFC. They're currently 8-2 in the NFC and only 4-1 in the division. So tiebreakers as well. And we talked a little bit about this last night after the game. Tiebreakers are on the 49ers side too. So the 49ers are in a really good place here. You win 1 game, you're probably in. You start winning 2 or 3 games, you can start talking about the 1 seed and start talking about the NFC West, especially with one of those teams you beat is the Seattle Seahawks in Week 18. So who knows? Maybe the 49ers are actually playing for the West in Week 18. And there's still a Seahawks-Rams game to come that should be a lot of fun. And as one of our listeners pointed out on Twitter, Croc, who was it? Let me see if I can pull it up here. It was Juice TD Tracker tagged us in this one, which is a nice little nugget as well. The 49ers, even on their bye, are going to win because Green Bay plays Chicago. And if Chicago wins, Green Bay falls below San Francisco in win percentage. And if Green Bay wins, Chicago falls behind San Francisco in conference record, which would mean either way, the 49ers move up from number 7 to number 6 in the NFC wildcard seeding while on bye. So the 49ers are going to wake up after next weekend's game and be the number 6 seed in the NFC. So they're going to jump by not even playing in week 14. So that's how good things are going for the San Francisco 49ers right now. They're going to climb by not playing at all in week 14.
The 49ers are in a great position. Really just how the schedule is kind of structured. And it really allowed for some up and down moments. And even throughout some of these down moments, the 49ers, because of maybe some of the opponents or how the opponents play against the Niners, it's worked out for them to put them in this position. And that's what you want. At the end of the day, every NFL team, there's 2 goals. One, win your division. And of course, we know you win your division, you get into the dance and you get a home playoff game. So the 49ers are in striking range of doing just that. I'm not sure anybody would have expected it, but it has also allowed for a lot of guys to get a little bit healthier. Still, you're missing Fred Warner, Nick Bosa. That's always going to be tough. Brandon and I will continue to monitor his situation and what that return may look like. But some of the other guys, right? Where's Ricky Pearsall? Pierce only had 2 catches for 14 yards. Well, when you play this kind of schedule, it allows you to kind of go through the ups and downs of him figuring some of those things out. Maybe not needing him to be what, guys like Brandon Ayuk and Debo and some of these other guys were. You can kind of let him get into that role in a more comfortable type way. So I think for the 49ers, man, again, great position. Guys are getting healthier. Find out, hey, Cleveland Farrell, 4 sacks in the last 4 games for the 49ers. A lot of positives to continue to build off of and hopefully create some momentum heading into the postseason.
Such a big win for the 49ers to handle their business in Cleveland because with potentially bad weather, thankfully it didn't snow or anything like that and make that game even weirder. For the 49ers to win those games that they're supposed to win, that was a huge one because that's one you could have seen potentially getting sideways for the 49ers as it has in the past in Cleveland against that defense. Winning that game was huge. That puts the 49ers in that spot where, okay, cool. You get to rest for a week, then you get to play the worst team in football to get you to the magic 10-win playoff plateau. And so the 49ers are in a good spot, even if they were to lose all those last 3 games against some good opponents, Colts, Bears, Seahawks. I think we're going to learn a lot about the 49ers in those last 3 games as they prep for the playoffs. And I do think the 49ers are going to be a playoff team. It would take some really strange happenings for the 49ers not to be a playoff team. Number one, it would include them losing to the Tennessee Titans. So beat the Titans, handle your business. Last 3 weeks, I think we're going to find out a lot about the 49ers and how they stack up against other current playoff teams. Are the Bears even that good? Like the Denver Broncos, they're a 10-win team right now. Are they that good? Is anybody that good right now, Croc?
I feel like if you are a team that's maybe not as good as we've seen in the past, right? Like this 49ers team does not match up well against it. 2023, 2021, 2019, like a lot of those type of 49er teams. But man, with how things have played out, I'm looking around the NFL. Is anybody that good? Just watch Kansas City. I continue to think they're going to flip that switch. They've done that, right, where they kind of go through some lows in the season. They flip that switch, and next you know they get hot heading into the playoffs, and they're a juggernaut. Well, I just saw them get their ass kicked by the Dallas Cowboys. And I just feel like every game I watch with them and other teams that are supposed to be good, the Philadelphia Eagles, like, you're not that good. Like you're right. So a season where I wasn't very optimistic with the 49ers being a Super Bowl contender or a Super Bowl caliber team, I don't think anybody is. So I think it's open season right now for anyone that just is hitting stride to some extent at the right time. And you hear the saying about any given Sunday. I think that's what this playoffs is going to look like.
I 100% agree. And it also underscores the unfortunate nature of where the 49ers could be that powerhouse team. They could be the favorites right now if they hadn't lost Bosa and hadn't lost Fred Warner, and if the Ayuk thing hadn't gone sideways. Still don't know what the heck is to expect with that the rest of the year. Maybe he does come back after the bye week. Who knows? But with those 3 players, we might be talking about, man, the 49ers are clearly the front runner. have a home Super Bowl appearance here after the 2025 season. So let's talk about the beefing that's going on. Jauan Jennings in the mix of it the last 2 weeks. And one Browns player had a lot to say about Jauan Jennings after the game. Next. FanDuel, NFL Sunday, they move fast, man. And one big play, suddenly everything feels different. That's the nature of the NFL. We just talked about it in the last segment, and that's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or maybe you feel that momentum. One team just cannot stop the run. As TJ Watt said this week, that he's never seen a team just run the same play over and over, and you can't stop it. And FanDuel lets you jump into the moment when you feel that thing start to turn. Live spreads, money lines, you can adjust those adjust instantly. Player props update as guides heat up as well. And you can bet on the next touchdown, drive results, totals, and more. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. All right, Croc. Very interesting comments from Shelby Harris, a veteran player. Off the air, we kind of went through his career, and he's been around a long time. And I remember his days of really becoming a very good football player for the Denver Broncos a few years back. And for a guy that's been in the league for over 10 years, Shelby Harris isn't the type of player that you hear say a lot of crazy stuff week in and week out, right? In fact, I didn't recognize him. This is a guy who's been around a long time, made a lot of money in this league. And I saw somebody talking after the game, and I was like, I don't know who that is. I was like, oh, okay, Shelby Harris. Interesting. I don't know if I've ever heard him say anything, let alone say something crazy. And he calls out Jauan Jennings and said, man, I am not shocked that someone punched him in the groin. Someone needs to punch him in the jaw. Said some other interesting things about Jauan Jennings. And so 2 weeks in a row now, Jauan Jennings beefing with people. We see him get into some arguments and smash some people's faces with his hand, and some other things happen throughout his career. And clearly he's kind of an antagonistic type of player, Croc, but things seem to be boiling over a little bit for Jauan Jennings this year.
I think there's a line that is kind of drawn there when things get a little personal with the trash talk. People have said all kind of wild stuff on the football field for years, but there's some things that you typically stay away with. Now, I don't know what was said, but it seems like he somehow crossed that line. And I think that's very difficult at the NFL level because guys say all kind of wild stuff. A lot of times it's just to you, right? It'll be like, man, you suck, you bum, I don't even know your name. You know, it'll just be something like that. He seems to be maybe crossing that line of saying something else that's extremely wild. I don't even want to guess or imagine to get guys this upset. And he talked about Shelby Harris. Someone asked us about it on social media. I'm like, dude, I know his wife, so I've been locked in on his career since 2014, since he got to the league, and I've followed every positive thing, oh man, he got released from this team, and I hit her, okay, what's it looking like? Somebody's going to sign him, and she kind of tell me what was going on, and I've been super interested in the whole thing because it's been a crazy journey for him, and he's been in the league, 10, 11 years now, but you never hear him talk. He is not someone to get in trouble. If you ask me, hey, players from an opposing team have an issue with the 49er player, who do you think it is? I'm like, oh, Jauan Jennings, right? So we know he likes to mix it up. And more times than not, I think he frustrates guys mixing it up with his physical play. And I love it. Get under the defensive back skin, block them a little bit longer, right? A little bit after the play, drive guys to the ground. I remember watching him pile drive a guy all the way to the Gatorade on the opposing bench, right? Like Jauan Jennings has always been that guy. I think that's what makes him, valuable, just that intensity that he brings. So I love that part. But he must have said something really the last couple weeks. And I don't know if this is something consistent with him. I mean, the guy has red hair. So those guys are usually a little loony in the right and the wrong way sometimes. But this was an interesting one because Shelby Harris does not talk, and he doesn't talk bad about anyone. So for him to go out there and say, with all the things that he's probably heard playing in the trenches with the big guys, and maybe it came across as a little bit more lack of respect. Because I do believe that people forget, although they are football players, these guys are all out there just providing for their families. The Lane Kiffin thing popped up on social media, and I was kind of giving my 2 cents. And whatever decision he made, he felt like it was best for him and his family moving forward. And people forget about that because the fandom aspect of things, but these are real life humans. If today Brian Peacock was like, Croc, I got to leave Locked On because I'm getting this job over here and this is going to pay me exponentially more money. Man, you got to do what's best for you and your family. The NFL players, the coach, they are all real life people. So yes, they compete and do all those things, but they're actually really cool people, a lot of them. So for Jauan Jennings to somehow cross that line with those people, I'm gonna find out what he said.
Yeah.
I'm gonna in the offseason, I'll wait till the offseason, I'll get some insight on it, and I'll hit up his wife. I'm gonna find out what was said because it had to be a little extreme.
I really want to know what was said, and maybe he is getting to a place where he needs to chill out and be careful of what lines he's crossing. You think about a guy like Draymond Green, right? And the Warriors winning championships, and you need that type of player. You need the toughness. You need someone who's going to go to battle, but you don't want someone who's, punching your own teammate at practice or doing something that is over the line and really causing problems and making things worse for your football team too. So I'm really fascinated. I'm not going to guess at what he said.
Real quick, with all that, right? With Draymond Green and everything that he is and all the antics, I don't think that the NBA players are scared of him per se. Like on these opposed, there's just other big guys around the league that he talks to the same way. Have we seen them just punch him in the face? Like, I mean, I know the thing at practice, that's different. That was probably more personal.
Yeah.
But has he said something to an opposing player on another team to where everybody wants to fight him all the time? I see guys mixing up. Well, I know he does the extra stuff, but you don't see a whole lot of just talking bad about Draymond after the fact. And he's pretty extreme. Like he's an extreme example of that habitual line stepper, as I like to say. And even then, I don't hear people saying he needs to be punched in the face and all this. Maybe I missed it. Because I am a Laker fan. They're doing super good right now. But I'm more locked in on the Lakers and the Warriors. But I like Draymond Green and what he brings, and he kind of brings that Jauan Jennings feel, or Jauan Jennings brings that Draymond feel. There seems to be some kind of line that got crossed.
Yeah, and especially with the NBA, that's not a physical sport like the NFL is, but you still need physical players, and it's similarly with wide receivers, right? You can't always win pretty at wide receiver. You need some physicality, and you need some dog in you a little bit there as a wide receiver in the NFL, and that's why I think you see DBs and wide receivers mix it up so much. And with there have been some people say some stuff about Draymond, but you're right, like. A lot of big dudes had a lot of opportunities to punch him in the face they wanted to on the court, and nobody really ever does, right? And the Warriors have said they haven't really needed to make a statement, but they've said so by how long they've kept Draymond Green, that they like having him on their side more so than they want him on the other side. And I think there's a lot of that with Jauan Jennings too, right? It was like, you're probably glad you have Jauan Jennings on your side a lot of times if you're the 49ers. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens with Jauan Jennings in the offseason for the 49ers. Very curious what he's saying.
I do have one more take on.
Yeah.
One more take on someone saying, "Oh, you need to be punched in the face."
Do it.
I feel like Jauan Jennings will welcome that. Like, okay, we're just gonna fight now. Like, he's not gonna back down. Like, I don't think he's scared, or I don't even think that Shelby Harris is saying, "Oh, somebody needs to do something." He's not gonna fight back, or I think it would just be a brawl. I think he's just saying, "I'm just surprised by how he is and things he says that nobody has just punched him." Remember, it happened with Richard Sherman and Trent Williams after a game. Like, sometimes you just see that.
And Trent unloaded on him. And Richard Sherman put his hands up. He didn't want any more part of that either.
Richard Sherman said about Crabtree, when we talk about that line, right? That even it was still personal to him. So maybe Crabtree didn't feel the need to get on the attack. I feel like sometimes when you when you want to react to punch it like a certain way, they cross the line. Like, maybe, I don't know if they're talking about your girlfriend, your wife, your kid. Like, I feel like has to be something else being said to trigger a man, because most of them have been in trash talking spouts most of their lives, and they're used to hearing everything. So what can get you to the point where it wasn't even said to you or Myles Garrett, but these are guys like, whoa, wait, what? Hold on, dude. Like, even Myles Garrett was like, all right, he's kind of taking things too far.
Right. Well, there's some people that were surprised by what Robert Saleh said to Liam Cohen after the game. It's like, I will end your bleeping life. It's just like, okay, that escalated quickly, Bob. Calm down, man. Like, you don't actually mean it, but when you're on the field, you're in those competitive environments, you say some weird stuff. I've said some weird stuff to people just playing like slow pitch softball or pick up hoops. I can't imagine being in the trenches of an NFL football game.
Yeah. I've been called some stuff, but as long as you keep it about me, I'm fine. If we're in the middle of a game and you say something about like my child's mom or my mom or my wife, you'll probably get a different reaction out of me.
Yep. No doubt. Next, let's talk Skyy Moore. With his game-breaking ability as a return man, why not get him some touches on offense now that he's been around for a few months? And more on this episode of Locked On 49. Next. Holidays are officially here. Gift hunting time, right? Sometimes gift hunting's fun. Sometimes it's difficult to find that perfect gift. And if you want something meaningful, personal, and guaranteed to get a reaction, Aura Frames is the gift that delivers every time. It's not just something you wrap. It's a way to share memories, because Aura isn't your average picture frame. You can preload the frame with photos before gifting it. So when you plug it in, the memories are already there. No apps to figure out, no setup headaches. Just instant smiles, especially if it's for someone like grandparents who might not be, as technologically savvy. You could set it up for them, have it there, have loaded with new pictures of the grandchildren all the time. Parents, newlyweds, anyone who loves photos, endless uploads of pictures and 30-second videos through the Aura app, and a personalized message right inside the frame, so the gift feels thoughtful the moment it's opened. For limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com and get $35 off at Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames, named #1 by Wirecutter, by using promo code LOCKEDON at checkout. That's Aura, AURA frames.com, promo code LOCKEDON. This deal is exclusive to listeners, and frames sell out fast. So order yours now to get it in time for the holiday. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDON. Terms and conditions apply. So we did talk about how the 49ers offense does feel a little slow at times, a little plodding at times, and they could use a little kick of speed on offense. And watching Skyy Moore,
it is not an explosive offense. Like, we just have not seen an explosive offense at all.
And even the explosive players, and really good and still awesome. I think you have to say it this way, and you have to preface it because people freak out. Still very awesome players like George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey. They're not as fast as they were in their prime. I think that's clear, and that is to be expected when you're a 30-year-old football player, right? You're not going to be I wasn't as fast when I was 30 as I was when I was 23. That's just the reality of the situation. Especially with the injuries and the wear and tear in your body as an NFL player. Still awesome players, but maybe not breakaway players like they once were. Go put on the George Kittle highlights and watch him run away from guys, in 2018, 2019. It was pretty fun. Skyy Moore is a player that can create on his own. Should the 49ers try to get him mixed in a little bit more on offense? There's some other players playing mostly special teams, like Nick Martin at linebacker, who clearly has speed and left the game because of a concussion last week because of some of that speed and the way he throws his body around out there. Isaac Guerendo, nobody else touches the ball except for Christian McCaffrey at running back, but Isaac Guerendo's got 4.3 speed. Could they work in some of these other players who are on the roster who have uniforms on Sunday? You wouldn't even have to make a roster move, Croc, to get some other guys involved to try to create a little bit more explosive plays on offense.
Yeah, I think Skyy Moore is the obvious answer, and I think it's easy, right? We've said it. Like, 49ers, they have to create more explosive plays. We're not quite seeing it, right? Who the big threats on offense that's able to create on their own? And you could throw that out there, but it's like, all right, well, okay, well, how do you resolve it? I do think it's like we got to find a way to get the ball in Skyy Moore's hands. Now, Skyy Moore, here's one thing about the NFL. There is not a huge talent gap between, especially on the 49ers, like the top receiver on the Niners and a practice squad guy. It's not as much of a gap as most people think. Typically, it's more so about having the just, I know exactly what to do, and I'm able to execute that and be consistent with that. The best players in the NFL are guys just consistent, not always just the most talented guys. But when you have a guy like Skyy Moore and he's able to, making an impact on special teams, as we've seen over the last few weeks, he has a certain ability that I feel like the 49ers can definitely utilize. So if I'm Kyle Shanahan, I'm trying to figure out, how do I get the ball in Skyy Moore's hands in space a little bit more? Because the guys that they're getting the ball in their hands in space right now, Jauan Jennings, terrific receiver, terrific possession receiver, not as much a true field stretcher or someone who's going to catch it and outrun them. I know he did a lot of it at Tennessee, but we're not seeing he hasn't been a part of the Yak Bros at the NFL level. I think Skyy Moore is a player who has that kind of ability. So I would definitely, can we get him on a dig route? Can we get him on a crossing route where he's kind of running away from guys? You got guys going one way. The 49ers do a lot of misdirection stuff. Can we do a misdirection, naked boot, and get the ball to Skyy Moore's hands in space and see if he can use some of his return ability to create more explosive plays? Because right now, the only explosive plays the 49ers are getting are when, Brock throws the ball, 15 yards, 20 yards in the air, it gets caught, and then there's not a lot more run after catch after that, if any at all. For a team that made a terrific living off of Yak, I mean, where are they right now in the NFL? I know there's rankings and stuff. We got to pull that up and look that up, but I would say it feels like they're bottom third of the league in Yak. It just hasn't quite been there. You got to figure out a way to fix it. I think Skyy Moore can really help.
No doubt. Speaking of speed on offense, there's actually two receivers that are hanging out that also aren't doing anything aside from Skyy Moore, and that's the 4th-round rookie in Jordan Watkins, who's been a healthy scratch recently, along with fellow rookie 5th-round running back Jordan James, who's never been active in his NFL career thus far. And again, there's not a lot of touches to go around at running back. But Kyle Shanahan a couple of weeks ago said that Jacob Cowling, the forgotten man, who also has 4.3 speed, might come back after the bye week, Brock. So there's another guy that has a little bit of speed on offense. So there are some players that the 49ers could potentially utilize here down the stretch and getting close to the playoffs. And they don't have to be high volume players. I'm not saying that that Skyy Moore needs to start over Jauan Jennings or anybody else, but you could have a package where he runs on the field a couple of times and gets the football, right? You could have some plays that are designed to maybe go his way. Maybe put him in motion, show a look that he doesn't get the ball, then a little later come back to it when he gets the ball. You don't have to go crazy with it. Maybe see if Jacob Cowling, if his hamstring will allow him, will showcase some of that speed and some of the excitement that the fans that he created for some of the fans out there. That we're really excited to see him coming into the year. And he showed flashes throughout his short time that he's been able to for the 49ers. So, yeah, there are some opportunities for the 49ers to create some bigger plays. And whether it's a run game or the pass game or, just getting creative with it, some trickery. The 49ers need to do a little something on offense, I think, aside from just grinding it out because you're not going to get the Browns everywhere. I've got yards after the catch per reception, according to True Media. The Pittsburgh Steelers are number 1 in the NFL, 6.8. Detroit Lions at 6.5. After that, it's the Bills, the Chiefs, and then the Chicago Bears round out the top 5. The bottom of the NFL, the Saints are worse. The Houston Texans, interestingly, are 4.2 yards per yards after the catch per reception. The Texans are 31. The Eagles are 30th. And then it's the Jets and Titans. And that's the bottom 5 of the NFL. The 49ers not far off of that. They're actually bottom 3rd, as we expected, Croc. The San Francisco 49ers are 24th in the NFL in yards after the catch per reception right now, 4.7 yards after the catch per reception, and they're 18th yards per catch. So there you go.
I know I'm kind of throwing you for one right now, but is there any comparison? Are you able to pull up a comparison to 2021?
Yes, I can. 2021. So I'm going to group it by season. So each team's individual seasons are separated. So Steelers right now are the 2025 Steelers have the best yak per reception. Their offense is pretty based on short passing though. And so that's kind of that matches up with what their style of offense is right now. The Lions last year, second. The Bills in 2024 are third. And then the 2022 Niners and 2021 Niners are fourth and fifth over every offense in the NFL since 2021. And then 2023 is seventh. So the Niners have three of the top 7 yak offenses in the NFL, 2021, 2022, and 2023.
Yep. And we could see that, or at least we could feel that.
Yes.
Otherwise, we would have never thought that it was an issue or the 49ers were missing something.
Absolutely. And let's see where the 2025 Niners are. They are. The 2025 49ers are 128 out of 160 teams over that span.
Wow. Not good.
Yeah, very different. And the Niners aren't a big downfield passing team, right? And
so it's not even lining up with some of the other teams, like you said, Pittsburgh Steelers. Well, okay, they're doing a lot of, shorter stuff. It's like, well, the 49ers are doing shorter stuff like them, but we're not getting the same results.
Not getting the after the catch stuff as well, right? So yeah, more explosive, more yak.
More Skyy Moore.
More. And yak. I think the 49ers need to hire for the yak bros position. Need to accept resumes for yak bros in the offseason. Keep that pipeline open. Thanks everybody for making Locked On 49ers your first listen every day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. And thanks for making us the #1 sports podcast network. Back tomorrow right here, Locked On 49ers.